I'm with Daoud Nassar from Tent of Nations. Now, Daoud, what is Tent of Nations?
Well, Tent of Nations is a farm that is located southwest of Bethlehem, and the land there is threatened to be confiscated since 1991. And we started this project to preserve the land, to keep the land, but also to make the land as a place for people to come and see, go and tell.
And when were you started as an organization, and why were you started?
Well, the idea is it's not an organization, it's a family farm. Like the farm is is ours since more than 100 years. My grandfather bought it in 1916, and he lived on the farm. He registered the land, and even my father and uncle kept doing the same until they passed away. And we as children and grandchildren, we grew up with the same connection to the land. In 1991, the Israeli authorities declared the farm as state land. And since then, we've been, until today, in a legal battle with the Israeli authorities. We had many attacks from settlers. We had difficulties for years. And then we came to the conclusion how to react. When people live under difficult political situation, wherever they are, when they feel they have no hope for the future, they are pushed to the edge, they usually react with three options: whether to react in a violent way, or resign, or give up and leave. We said none of those options are good for us. We are against violence, against resignation, and against giving up and leaving. So we started to think outside the box and said there must be another way of resistance and without violence. And therefore we started the fourth way, we call it here, a non-violent, a creative, a constructive way. And our slogan is, we refuse to be enemies. And before coming to that point, we had to fix ourselves, and we had to believe in what we are doing. And that's why we said four things that became our principle. We refuse to be victims. We refuse to hate. We are acting because of our Christian faith, acting differently, and we are people who believe in justice. And we believe that one day the Son of Justice will rise again. And when we've said that, we were empowered, and we stood up and started the fourth way, which is the non-violent way of resistance.
Now, you have lots of different projects that you do. What sort of projects are you doing?
Well, for us was important because keeping the land is to be there. First of all, before answering that question, is that we are facing difficulties. We are not allowed to build anything there. We have 22 demolition orders. We are not allowed to have running water. We are not allowed to have electricity. And so we started dealing with our problems in a creative way. So we got a solar system. We are collecting rainwater. We are we developed the infrastructure. And the idea is, we started to do some activities there to bring people together and to send them back home with a message of hope in a hopeless situation. So we do a tree planting campaign between January and March. We invite people to sponsor and plant trees, because when we plant a tree, we believe in the future. We make the land productive, but if we want to talk about peace, we learn that peace should grow from the ground and up like an olive tree. We have children's summer camp activities. We do in July 2-week summer camp for children from Bethlehem area. We have a women empowerment project in the village that helps the women who do not have chances for education to learn something, but also it's about empowerment, not education. We have harvest camps. We are now in the middle of the grape harvest. So in June we have usually the apricot harvest, July the almond, the grape harvest in August, the fig harvest in September, and end of October we have the olive harvest. So those are the programs that we are having there, and those programs are visited by local and international volunteers, and we have guest groups that are coming to see, to learn, and go back home motivated.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about the children's work and the women's projects that you're doing.
Yes, with the children, that our children are growing up in a difficult political situation. They are traumatized. So there is nothing positive to talk about. So they see in front of them like a dark future. So we try with creative workshops like paintings, like mosaic, music, theater, to empower the children. The idea is like we want to achieve always like three simple goals. The first goal is to let the children discover their talents and to let them focus on their positives. Very important is not to focus on the empty part of the glass of water. Why not to focus on the full part? And the moment they focus on their positives, I believe that they will stand up and depend on themselves and believe in themselves that they're able to shape their future. So for every summer camp, we have a title. So last year's summer camp title was With Heart and Hand, We Change the Land, Overcoming Obstacles and Creating Opportunities. For this year, last July, the title was I Have a Dream. And the idea is like, to learn how to dream, but to persist in achieving your dream. So the idea is like, as I said, to empower the children, as well as the women. Women in the Palestinian society are also like limited. And the idea is we want the role of women to be more and more. So we are working with 15, my wife is doing that. She's working with 15 to 20 women who do not have chances for education. The idea is like to empower them through activities like computer teaching, English classes, agricultural training, first aid courses, recycling projects. Yeah, and to build a bridge, let's say, between each other and to empower each other and to stand up and learn that the best way to go for a better future is to start by myself.
Now, you say you have volunteers and you're planting olive trees. Is it an exciting time for someone to come here as a volunteer to plant trees?
Yes, of course. Like we have many volunteers throughout the year, and now on the farm we have now 9 volunteers from different countries. Yesterday, one from the UK left. She stayed for a while on the farm. So the idea is it's important for volunteers to come and see and learn. Also, it's an empowerment for us to see internationals coming here to support us, to support the work we are doing, to support our vision. But on the other side, it is a learning experience for international volunteers, because we need the international volunteers, since they will be like our ambassadors for peace and justice, is to go home and spread out the word, but also to help them through their challenges in life, because they are facing challenges in their own situations. Like it could be not political, but it could be other kind of challenges. And the idea is the moment they see us, how we are dealing with our problems, they learn that if we can do it here, they can do it also in their own communities. So it's a mutual, support.
Now you're celebrating 101 years on the land. Tell us what you've been doing to celebrate.
Well, we did it last May, the celebration. As I said before, the land was bought by my grandfather in 1916. And since then, the situation was not easy, like the Ottomans and then the British and, the conflicts and problems. And we are still facing almost the same situation since 1916, with challenges and so on. But the idea to celebrate is not to think about the negatives, about the difficulties, to say, we are here and, it's a blessing to have this piece of land, and it became also a blessing for other people. So it is an important way to celebrate life, to celebrate community, and to celebrate believing in a better future.
Now, you've had to fight to stay on the land. How difficult has it been to actually stay on the land with the legal battle with Israel that you've had?
Well, the legal battle started in 1991. We spent about 12 years in front of the military court, and then we brought it to the Supreme Court. It's a struggle. It's a long struggle. And we have also, since now a couple of years, 22 demolition orders. So it's like we are facing challenges on daily basis. The thing is, it is hard because there is no justice. It's very difficult. The system is unjust for us. But at the end, I believe that this is like a tunnel we are going through, but full of darkness and difficulties and challenges. But the suffering in that way is not the end of the story. So one day the tunnel will come to an end and we will see the sun of justice rising again. So this is how we deal with that. And on the ground, the time we are facing challenges like new demolition orders or going to the court, we try to think positively and we try to think about new projects. So all the negative energy that we have through the situation is invested positively. So this is the therapy we are doing there.
Do you have keys and certificates from the 1916?
Yeah, we have, of course, like we have the papers, we have documents from the British Mandate time, from the Jordanians, from the Israelis, that the land belongs to us. So we have an old land survey and so on, all the documents. And that's why it is becoming more difficult for the Israelis to confiscate the farm.
How much have you paid so far in legal costs?
So far, we spend about $200,000 on legal expenses since 1991, for lawyers, for court expenses, for land surveyors. Yeah, and thanks to all people who sponsored, also contributed financially to this situation. Yeah.
And you still have a sign that says, "We refuse to be enemies."
Yes. I always say refusing to be an enemy is a non-violent and a Christian way of resistance. Refusing to be an enemy is not a passive, but an active way of non-violent resistance. The idea is we always believe that in every human being there is the good and the bad. So we always want to respect the good, but not to accept the bad. So the idea of refusing to be an enemy is not a passive way, but an active way to tell the other what you are doing is unjust. To open a new perspective, to open people's eyes, hearts and ears to understand and to realize that the other that you are talking about is a human being.
Why do you do what you do?
I always say faith, love and hope is the combination of the work we are doing. Because in a situation like that, it's very hard to think in a positive way. It's very hard not to hate. And it's very difficult, let us say, to think positively. So the idea is we need to have a strong faith. We need to have hope. And hope is that, I always say, it's not a passive hope, but an active hope. It's to say, not, okay, tomorrow maybe it's better than today. No, in order to make tomorrow better, I need to do my part. I need to do my step. I need to do something. I need to stand up and act. And of course, without love, we are destroyed. Without having the true love, we are destroyed. So that's why this combination is important to empower us to go through the difficulties and move forward. And now the land is becoming like a blessing for many people. So this is the idea, is all things will go well for the people who love God. And even in a very difficult situation, we believe we can be a witness for other people.
And what's your prayer for the farm for the future?
Well, of course, my grandparents and my father and uncle struggled to keep this farm, and they never gave it up. They never came to a conclusion. It's a hopeless case, And we are still on the same path. So my father's dream was to devote his land for a project, and he died before fulfilling his dream in 1976. He died. So now we are, with what we are doing on the farm with the Tent of Nations, is a fulfillment of my father's dream. And the journey continues. So, of course, our prayers is that, to make the land, because the land is always, we talk about land from a negative perspective, land confiscation, you talk about struggle on land, conflicts between Israelis and Palestinians. And I think, and I hope, and my prayer for the future is to make the land, which is supposed to be the Holy Land, is the land that connects people together, the ground for a better future, not like a place where conflicts are. Now we have to think about the land from the positive perspective, and understand that this is the land that our sisters, the prophets, even as Christians, Jesus walked, and every stone has maybe a story to tell. And that's why we need to focus on that and make the land as a symbol for bringing people together. And this is my prayer for the future.
What's your website for people who'd like to know more?
It is www.tentofnations.org.
Okay, Daoud, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.